Joe Rogan having on Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, Mark Zuckerberg. Your thoughts are what?
That's not the reason I don't want to have a politician on my show, is partially because I'm not skilled enough to challenge their spin. These are professional bullshitters. Mark Zuckerberg is there to make a sales pitch for Meta. And the illusion that they're just these chill guys is bullshit. And I do think some of their fan base is rubbed the wrong way when they see these billionaires on the screen. But it's revolting, because I go, why are you so cozy and friendly with this person? Why isn't your questions to them about the damage Facebook has done in other countries, in spreading misinformation, you're allowing them to get off scot-free. You're allowing them to talk about these fun hobbies. You can talk to Mark Zuckerberg about his whatever martial art he's pursuing.
Jiu-jitsu, I believe.
And jiu-jitsu. And you're letting them, you're humanizing them. And ultimately, if you're able to challenge them, great. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But if you are essentially extending them, if you're not challenging them, then you're platforming them. I don't fully agree with this idea that, like, I think it's failed, the idea that don't ever talk to these people. Don't ever have so-and-so on your show. You're just platforming them. But if you're not challenging them, then you are platforming them. What you do with them, mm-hmm. that's where that gets shown. And that's why I do think if you're saying that you have the skills to challenge this person and they're worthy of being challenged, then great, have them on. But I think a lot of these comedians, and frankly, a lot of news people, and this is where I go, are you going to blame the comedians or are you going to blame the news people? They don't challenge them. They don't have the skills, or they're not willing, or I know with the news organizations, it's kind of the big bottom line is, well, if you challenge them too hard, the RNC is going to stop sending them to do a segment on your show.
That's right.
And I go, well, then you're useless. Then you might as well, the same way that NPR has to tell me, Facebook invests and so, just so you know, you should have to say that at the top of the interview, because it is a conflict of interest. You should start every interview with, just so you know, we're speaking with Mitch McConnell today, but we're also nervous that we want to speak to Mitch McConnell next week, so we're going to be a little soft on him.
Right.
You should have to disclose that, because it's a conflict of interest that you're not disclosing. So sorry, I'm kind of diverging, but it's disgusting when they have these billionaires on, because you go, you're not challenging them enough. Now, on the same hand, I do think Kamala should have done Joe Rogan. I go, okay, if they're going to have these people on, you might as well go on. I admire Bernie Sanders for going to these places, because look, that's just the world as it is. I can kind of pray Joe Rogan will change, or I can meet the world as it is. I do think he's worthy of criticism for having Mark Zuckerberg and Peter Thiel on, and Elon Musk, and not just nailing them with a bunch of questions about other transgressions. Mm-hmm. But the world is what it is. And I think if you're going to be a politician, or you're going to try to make political change, you got to play ball.
I agree. One criticism that I've received a lot is, excuse me, when I've covered Pat McAfee, for example, and he's had Aaron Rodgers on, and Aaron Rodgers says nothing but misinformation about vaccines, about COVID, about hydroxychloroquine, and the comments that I always get on those videos are, well, he's not a journalist. Well, he might be it just hit me. You may not know who Pat McAfee is.
No, I do.
Okay.
I Googled it, but I do recognize and I do know him.
Okay, so former NFL player turned broadcaster, got his start, no surprise, with Barstool, got out of Barstool. He has done comedy, and he launched his own The Pat McAfee Show. It blew the fuck up. He had a deal, I believe, with FanDuel or DraftKings, one of the two. I think it was FanDuel. And then that deal expired, and then ESPN picked him up, and he was the highest paid person until Stephen A. Smith just dethroned him with a new $100 million contract. Okay, you're caught up. So he's not a journalist. He's a former football player who dabbled in comedy, blah, blah, blah. But the criticism I get is, okay, if you're going to have Aaron Rodgers on and he's going to say these things about like the vaccine and about COVID, where is the line? Like, I know he's not a journalist. I know he's not a reporter. He's a podcast host, but he is on ESPN. So in the same vein with Rogan, where I know where I think the line is, and I know where you think the line is. But where is the line, whether it is sports or podcasting / podcasters alike?
I mean, again, I think like, what are you going to do? If I was his friend, I'd say, hey, a legion of idiots are getting their medical advice from you. Maybe you should reconsider how responsible you are for what you're saying. But what am I going to do about it? Ultimately, I go, the problem is people looking to him for medical information. Do I think it's worthy of critique? Absolutely. Do I think it's like, do I think if you're going to have someone, if someone came on my show and started saying like, here's what the vaccine does, I probably would go, just so we all know, I don't know why the fuck this person is qualified to say this, or I have no idea about this. Why are we talking about this? I'd want to pivot. I would want to pivot. That's me. But at the end of the day, like, I'm not prepared to like know what kind of laws need to be in place. And we saw the failure of Facebook, YouTube or TikTok adding a little blurb about COVID. Mm-hmm. The problem is people aren't educated. And I would ultimately go like, you have to look within and how the problem started. Like, I think about with medicine, I go, of course people are skeptical. I mean, people are skeptical of medicine because there's a lot of my sister was talking about how she went to a dentist and they told her you have to get this electronic toothbrush, and it's partially because they have a deal with the toothbrush company, so they have a coupon and they get a kickback or something. Mm-hmm. And she goes to another dentist who's like, no, you should not be using this toothbrush. And I go, don't you see that this small version of two doctors disagreeing because they're compromised by whatever company they're getting a kickback for introduces the skepticism in my sister of, God, these doctors are all full of shit. And I go, people have had such bad experiences with medicine. It's hard to blame them for being skeptical of the industry as a whole. You have to look within and go, how is this information being shared that people are becoming so mistrustful? I think, like, when it comes to COVID stuff, I sometimes go like, did the government do a good job of when they found things to be ineffective or decided this regulation should shift? Did they do a good job of explaining we were wrong about this, or if we had done this, it would have been better, or we wanted to try this, and in retrospect, there's a degree, we live in a culture of no apologies and no kind of taking responsibility. And that's a deeper thing, because if you apologize, people jump on that to say, look, they were always full of shit. Right. But we don't live in a healthy culture right now at all. And again, I go, you can't stop people from talking shit unless you want to become, more controlling over speech. And I go, you have to focus on how do we create a healthier system? How do we educate people better? How do we spread information better? how do we, instead of blaming, if I'm a Democrat, I'm going to go, how do I stop blaming Fox News and start going, how can MSNBC be more trustworthy? It's the blame game doesn't work. The censorship doesn't work. It's about cultivating trust. It's about how do you share information better and educate people in a way they can understand and spread. And don't blame the comedians. Look to the people who were supposed to be spreading the news. That's the only way out, in my estimation.
Right.